Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Cameron and I'm the HR guy. And in these videos, my purpose is to provide you with proven strategies for employment success. And in today's video, we're going to talk about resumes. And I know this is not something that people are like, yes, I cannot wait to write my resume. Or, you know what, I just cannot wait to update my resume. I haven't done it in so long. No, that's not what people think about when they think about resumes. They think, I don't even know what I should put in here, what format I should use. How do I make sure my resume gets noticed so that I can get that interview? Usually that creates a little bit of stress for people. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about 3 resume formats that can fit pretty much anybody's situation, and it will help give you the best opportunity to get noticed and to get that interview. At the end, I will also share tips on how to make sure your resume makes it through the application tracking software, because the last thing you want to do is spend a lot of time on working on your resume and then a computer screens you out. Also, in the description below, I'm going to put a couple links for resume templates so you can go in there and create your resume very easily. It'll look very professional and it'll make just an easier process for you. I'm also going to put a link to JobScan, and what JobScan does is you put your resume in and then you put in the job description for the position you're applying for, and it'll match up your resume compared to the job description to make sure you have a good match. It'll also give you a score, like a 76% match, and then it'll tell you what areas you're missing so that you can go in and fix those in your resume before submitting that. Okay, so in today's video, I have a lot of content to go through, so I'm going to move through pretty quickly. I'll throw up a example of what each of these formats look like, and I'll also kind of give a brief description and pros and cons of each of those. But again, the best thing to do is probably go to that link below once you figure out what format will work best for you, and go ahead and work on completing your resume. All right, let's get to it. Okay, the first thing I want you to know before I get to the formats is that when somebody is reviewing your resume, whether it be hiring manager, recruiting specialist, or somebody of that nature, they're going to only spend really about 10 to 15 seconds, and they're just going to glance through it and see if you have the areas they're looking for that position. If they don't see those, you're going in the no pile. If they do see the things they're looking for, you're going to go in the maybe pile. And then after they've got everybody screened through and now they have the maybe pile, they're going to take the maybe pile and go through it more thoroughly and then determine who they're going to interview. So really, you've got to make an impression really within probably 6 to 10 seconds with your resume. So that's what we want to keep in mind when we're talking about our formats. Is the most critical thing is that your information is organized in an easy to read and easy to find way, specifically those skills and experiences that match up with the position you're applying for. Okay, the first format we're going to talk about today is chronological, or also known as reverse chronological. And in this, you're going to have specific sections. You're going to have obviously your name, your address, contact info. Then you're going to have a brief summary of your resume. Then you're going to go into work experience, and that's going to be in reverse chronological order from most current, working your way backwards. You're also going to talk about your education, list any skills that apply to this position, and then any additional sections, maybe certifications, publications that you've done, and that would be towards the end. And again, this is the most common format that people use. Is really good for application tracking software, especially making sure that your headings for each of your sections is a commonly used one, like work history or work experience. You don't want to get fancy or try to get cute with any of those, because if you use something that's not familiar, the computer won't recognize that, and it'll probably kick that section out, and then you might get your resume kicked out of the pool. Under each job, you're going to want to list probably 4 to 5 bullet points, things you did, duties you had, and accomplishments. Don't forget to put in accomplishments that you were able to make while you were in this position. In your bullet points, when you're talking about the duties, you want to make sure you use action words such as supervised or directed instead of responsible for supervision. You also want to quantify whenever possible. Numbers matter. So if they can see that you had a percentage that you increased output or save the company money as far as a dollar amount, that's going to really stick out to folks. You may also want to have a section labeled key achievements, where you can list some of your biggest achievements for each of your positions. And last, focus on professional responsibilities and accomplishments related to the position you're applying for. Some pros for this format is that recruiters are familiar with this format. It's easy for them to navigate, easy for them to find the information they're looking for. It's also almost 100% guaranteed to get you through application tracking software. So ensure at least that your resume is getting through that to the next stage. And also it highlights growth and achievement in your career. So if you're somebody who started out and you continue to improve and promote within your career, this is something that's going to be very evident using this format. Some cons, again, because it's so familiar, you're going to have to maybe tweak it a little bit or do something to really catch that recruiter's eye. Another con is gaps, especially large ones in work history, are going to be quickly noticed. And last is it's not really the ideal resume for somebody who's looking to switch their careers completely. So if you're in a career and you're looking to go into a totally different career, this may not be the best resume format for you. All right, the next resume format that we're going to talk about is functional or skill-based resume. All right, in this format, you're going to have your contact info at the top, just like the last one. You're going to have a resume, summary, or objective, and then you're going to go into skills summary. And that's just going to list your skills that apply to this position, so it's quickly identifiable of what skills you have and how they would relate to this position. Underneath that section, you may list any additional skills that might be secondary skills or supplementary skills that would also relate or somewhat relate to this position. And then you're going to list your work experience. Again, you can list that in reverse chronological order. And last, you're going to list your education. All right, in this resume, when you talk about your objective for pursuing this career, you're going to want to highlight the skills that you've mastered and the skills that apply to this position. This is also a good area to put in any website addresses, blog addresses, or anything related to portfolios, online portfolios, so that they can quickly go and check those out to see if you have some of the things they're looking for. And when you do your skill summary, you're going to want to pick the 4 or 5 skills that apply most to this position. And you don't want to just list them, but you want to explain or give details or examples of how you've used those skills in previous positions, so they can really get a feel for what you're capable of doing. And when you do this, you can either use bullet points to describe those, or you can even do short little paragraphs to explain and describe the skills that you have. Okay, this resume format is maybe not for everybody, but it is really good for people in creative industries, freelancers, folks that have a really solid portfolio, or if you're transitioning from a military service into civilian service. All right, some pros for this format are it takes the focus off your work history and really puts it on your skills and abilities. It's also a really good format for non-traditional industries. And again, it can be used for military personnel who are transitioning from the military into the civilian workforce. Some cons for this format is most recruiters don't really like it because it's more difficult to scan quickly and find the information they're looking for. Also, it may tend to raise some red flags because it may appear you are trying to hide something maybe related to your work history or something of that nature. And last, most likely, it will not pass an application tracking systems scan. It'll most likely get kicked out. So if you're applying to a organization that uses application tracking software, this is probably not the application you're going to want to use. All right, our last resume format is known as combination or a hybrid resume. And as you guessed it, it takes a little bit of the chronological and a little bit of the functional and kind of smushes them together and makes it look pretty. So we're going to talk about that one now. This format is very similar to the functional resume we just talked about, but it's really going to highlight both skills and work experience equally. Again, you're going to have your contact information section. You're going to have your resume summary. Then you're going to list your skills that relate to this position. And then you're going to go into work history, and then education will be listed at the end. In your skills summary, you're going to want to list most relevant skills and examples of professional experience. And under each skill, you're going to want to list 3 to 4 bullet points and give examples of how you applied those skills in previous positions. And don't forget to list any achievements that you had within those positions you've held. You're going to list your work experience in reverse chronological order, and then you're going to list education and any additional information that may apply to this position. All right, a pro for this format is it highlights your most important and relevant skills with examples. Another pro is it's also a great resume for people that have some gaps in work history but have a lot of very relevant work experience. A con is it's good for people who have a lot of work experience and are targeting a specific position. Also, it's not an easy one to get right to where it really highlights your skills and work experience that you want recruiters to notice. All right, so there's the three formats. Again, there'll be links down below in the description of a couple websites you can go to build your own resume that's perfect for you. Now, again, I want to talk about the application tracking software that a lot of companies use. The reality is about 70% of resumes are never seen by human eyes because 7 out of 10 large companies use application tracking software. Therefore, if you can't get your resume through that software, it's never going to get to the desk of that recruiter or that hiring manager for them to review to possibly get you an interview. And that's what matters most, getting the interview. Let's talk about some ways we can make your resume more ATS friendly. You want to have your contact information at the top. You want to avoid fancy graphics. Save your resume in a PDF format. Copy all the contents of your resume and put it into a TXT text editor such as Notepad. If the text in your resume is not scrambled, then your resume is scannable. And don't forget to take your resume to JobScan, put it in there, put the job description in there as well, and let it show you how well your resume matches up with that job description. All right, so here's some final points. You want to use standard resume formatting rules. 1-inch margin, nice font, 11 to 12 font size, single line spacing, and some additional spacing between each of your sections or your headings. Choose the best resume format for your situation and the job and organization you're applying for. Don't forget to divide your resume into proper sections and use normal headings for each of those sections. Don't get fancy or cute with those because, again, if it's going through an ATS, it may not read it correctly and it may throw your resume out. And last, you can save some space by using bullet points in work experience area or in education. I hope this information was helpful, and good luck as you search for your next job. And as always, please like this video and subscribe and share with others. See you in the next video.